All right, so you see this book right here? It's a classic. It's one of the books that a lot of people turn to when they wanted to learn how to code with HTML and CSS. This is from 2011. This one's good. It's called Modern JavaScript, but if you look on the inside, it was written back in 2012. So it ain't that modern anymore. So that's the thing about learning how to code or program or basically do anything with books. They tend to get outdated. Programming languages tend to get updated. And it's very important for you to stay up to date with the best practices of how to code with your programming language. Now, I invested a lot of money over the years in learning how to code and program with books. This is just a small subset of what's in my library. And one of my favorite hobbies is playing chess. So if you look over here, I have a whole bunch of books over here from some of the best players of all time, from Bobby Fischer, from Magnus Carlsen, from Capablanca, Nimzowitsch, Koschev, and others. These are some really good books right here. But the times are changing. We have artificial intelligence, we have ChatGPT, we have GitHub Copilot, we have a whole bunch of different tools that you could use that are very interactive. You can prompt it, you could ask it for advice, you can ask it for feedback, you could have it analyze your code or give you an outline or a table of contents of different aspects of coding or programming with a specific language, especially for your stage of learning. If you're a beginner, you can say, give me a beginner's guide on how to learn, say, PHP or Python or JavaScript. If you're more intermediate, you can prompt it to say, give me some more intermediate type of projects I can work on to enhance my code. Now, if you're advanced, then you can take it a step further and prompt it for more advanced tutorials. So when it comes to which style of learning is best, is it better to learn by using artificial intelligence, or is it better to go the old school route, the way I learned, by learning from books? Alright, so in this video I want to talk about both ways of learning, the pros and cons of both. And if you're just learning how to code, or if you just learn how to play chess, hopefully by the end of this video you have a better understanding of which way you should go. Alright, so first let's start talking about learning how to code with books. What are the benefits of using a book? Well, the thing is, you get the expertise and the insights from someone who's a skilled programmer, because typically publishers won't release a book unless the person writing it is skilled, is a known expert within their field. So they take you on a journey, they take you on a structured approach of learning how to program with that language. It could be a beginner's book, it could be a little bit more advanced. Some of them are more technical, others are a deep dive into the thought process of the programmer themselves. And one of the best parts of learning how to code from books is you get to get different types of books. Remember, programming is really an art form. There's a bunch of different styles and ways to write code. If you give 10 programmers the exact same project to work on, they'll probably give you 10 different results on how to get it done. So when you buy books, you can get one book from one author, another one from another author, and you can see the different styles that they implement in terms of creating their projects. And sometimes one author might cover a topic a little bit differently than another. Another thing about learning from books is you always have it with you. You don't always need to have an internet connection. Even if you don't have the physical book, you might have the book on Kindle. And from there, you can take it with you on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop. Even if you're in a place that you don't have internet connection, you could still read the book. And of course, with the books, you have the code examples that you could try out. You could put it into your code editor. And with modern IDEs and text editors, you get feedback if the code has any syntax errors. And the next thing is, obviously, a lot of this code gets obsolete, gets outdated because programming languages get updated and best practices change over time. And your IDE or your text editor can give you some insight if that code has been deprecated. Now, talking about artificial intelligence, it's very convenient. You can prompt it to give you, again, the outline, the guide, the table of contents of what you should focus on when you're first learning a particular coding language. You can have it explain different concepts. You can have it show you example code. You can then take that code, put it in your text editor or IDE, and see how it works, break it down. And if you want to see a different style of code, you could have it regenerate the code in a different style. Let's say you're learning procedural code, but then you want to see how to do the same thing with object-oriented programming. That's something AI can do very quickly, and you're not going to often see that with books. With books, typically the programmer will give you their style. If they're a procedural coder, then you're going to see most of the concepts explained with procedural code. And to be honest, most beginner books use procedural. And then in later chapters, you'll see stuff on OOP or functional programming. Now, going back to artificial intelligence with tools like GitHub Copilot and ChatGPT and the others that are popping up almost every single day, it's interactive. You can go back and forth. You pretty much have a conversation with the AI. And that's something you can't really do with the books. But you have to remember, the publishers decide if a book gets published. And they tend to only publish books if the code has been vetted and has been proven to work. AI It can give you code, but sometimes that code may not work, especially the way you want it to. And sometimes you may not be aware if there's a security issue. And if you don't have the deep level of understanding of programming, you may not even be aware of what to prompt the AI. Yeah, the very basics, the fundamentals, the low-hanging fruit, that's the easy stuff. But once you get to more advanced coding concepts, it requires a lot of thinking and a lot of experience. And that's something you get from books. Books, they again take you down a journey. They take you down a path. You get the thinking and the mindset of the author. You get their years of experience right in your hands. And it kind of forces you to do more research. And you have to end up taking that code, even if it's outdated. Some of these books, again, are old. Some of them are newer. But even if the code's outdated, you can go online to websites like Stack Overflow or W3 Schools or the documentation pages. In some of those, you could ask questions, or you can use the online editors. Or with the documentation pages, it'll let you know if that function that's being explained in the book, if it's deprecated, if it's no longer supported by the language. And it often gives you alternatives. So while you're doing your research, you might come across other questions, you might come across other answers, especially if you're on Stack Overflow. Somebody else might ask a question that you may not even have thought to ask. But now you're going down the rabbit hole, you're doing deeper research, you're investigating different aspects of code, and you're learning in a way that allows the code to be embedded into your brain, or at least the concepts. With AI, it could be very direct. It could just give you the answer, and you could say, explain your answer. But unless you're using different AIs, you're not really getting that many different perspectives. Yes, you can regenerate the code, and then you can have it explained further. But you have to remember to do that, and not just always take this first response. Because remember, AI still hallucinates. It's not perfect. It's been trained on basically everything that's publicly available online. So considering the fact that it doesn't always get it right or doesn't always give you the best response, that's something you have to be mindful of. And there's something to be said about learning from masters, from experts, from people who have dedicated their lives and their careers to a particular field. With programming, some of these books have been written by some of the best programmers. With chess, these are some of the best players of all time. We have Bobby Fischer, we have Magnus Carlsen, we have Nimzowitsch, we have Capablanca, and we have Koschev. And there's others mixed in there as well. So when you're reading and learning from those types of programmers and chess players, you're getting their mindset, you're getting their insights, their thought process. We don't always know how an artificial intelligence gets to the answer. We don't always see how it's functioning. And yeah, you can have it give you some feedback on some code. You can have it give you a breakdown of the code. But you have to also think about the thought process to get there. It's one thing to reverse engineer something, and it's a completely other thing to create something. And it takes a lot of deep thinking if you want to create something new. So this is my belief. This is what I think. If you are learning how to code today, or if you learn how to play chess, or if you learn how to do basically anything, I think you need a combination of the two. I think there's a tremendous amount of value learning with artificial intelligence, and I think that learning from books is a great option. I think what you can do is take the code that you find in books, you can put it into a tool like ChatGPT or GitHub Copilot and see what it says about it. You could prompt it to restructure that code or regenerate that code in a different style. You can benefit from the years of experience from the author, but also benefit from the speed and interactivity of artificial intelligence. I mean, honestly, I spent a lot of money and a lot of time on these books. And I got way more upstairs and I got a whole bunch on my Kindle. And I can tell you, it took a significant amount of time before everything was fully ingrained in my brain. Now, I can only imagine how much faster I would have learned if I had artificial intelligence while I was learning from reading books at the same time. And using online tools like Stack Overflow, using the documentation pages of the different programming languages, and of course, learning your tools, learning how to use your IDE or your text editor. By combining all of that, you could really accelerate your learning process. So if you're just learning how to code today, you have every advantage under the sun. You have all the tools right there for you. You don't have to invest a lot of money in books. You can go to thrift stores, you can go to used books online. There's a bunch of places. Amazon has used books. Goodreads has used books as well. Or you can go to the public library. There's a bunch of books there, and if you have a library account, you have free access to that. And with AI, you have a bunch of free options out there. ChatGPT has a free option, Claude AI has a free option. But remember, they tend to hallucinate and they haven't been trained on the most advanced models. Now, if you have a paid account, then you're going to get a more intelligent model being used. So you have to take that into consideration as well. But either way, I think using books in conjunction with using AI is a great way to learn basically anything. It's a time commitment, you have to structure yourself. This is where you could possibly ask the artificial intelligence to give you a guide and outline on how to use books and AI at the same time. What would be a good structured way to learn? Books give you a lot of insight into the mindset of the authors. AI gives you more direct responses. And the combination of the two will make it possible for you to learn faster than someone who just learned with one way, with one style. If you only learn from books, that's going to take you a long process. It takes you down a longer journey, a longer learning path. But it enables you to really research and dive deeper into the programming languages. If you use just AI, you're getting more direct responses and you're not really developing the deeper thought process of how to program. There's a difference between coding and programming, and sometimes you just don't know what to prompt. That's why using websites like Stack Overflow is still a great option also. The key is to structure your time properly to make sure you're using each tool to their advantage. All right, so sound off. What are your thoughts? What are the best ways for somebody to learn today? Is it just with AI? Is it just with books? Or do you agree that it takes a combination of using all of these tools? My opinion, my thoughts, it takes all of it. The key thing to remember is organize and structure your time. All right, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification icon. If you have any thoughts, suggestions, or comments, leave them down below. And as always, thanks for watching and happy coding.